Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined now by Cincinnati Associate Head Coach Larry Davis, as well as Bearcat student athletes Shaq Thomas and Jermaine Sanders. We'll ask Coach Davis to please make an opening statement. Then we'll take questions first directed toward the student athletes.
First of all, I want to say I'm just as proud of our guys and the fight that they had in them tonight than I was last night when they beat Purdue, or the night before last when they beat Purdue. We got off the bus today. Every guy that walked into that locker room expected to beat Kentucky. And that's not just wolfing, that's the truth. They didn't go out and play with fear. Had we finished a little better down the stretch with some point-blank shots that we had we made some free throws, we'd have made it very, very interesting. But I'm so proud of these guys because of what they've done this whole entire year. In a very difficult situation when we lost our leader, these guys rallied. They're a young team with one guy with starting experience back, 5 or 6 new guys, 2 sophomores, one of which played a lot and one of which played very little. And for them to accomplish what they've accomplished this year has been no short feat. And I'm one of the luckiest coaches in the world to have the chance to have coached them this year because they're not only really good players, they're also great kids, represent the University of Cincinnati in an outstanding way. And the great thing we've got, and I hate it for Jermaine because he won't be back with us, but we've got everybody else back. And next year, it's our plan to be a much higher seed and, come into this tournament and be one of the favorites in this tournament because of who we have returning and the grit and the determination that these guys have showed. And, again, I'm extremely proud of them. I hope that the fans out there appreciate their effort and what they did today. And, again, we came to this arena to win today expecting to win, not just play close or have some moral victory. We're not into moral victories at Cincinnati. We're into beating whoever we show up to play. And that was what we thought when we walked on the floor today.
We're looking for questions for the student athletes from Cincinnati. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Our microphone attendant will head in your direction. Please state your name and media outlet before your question. On the right side, Pat.
Pat 40 from Yahoo Sports. For both players, it looked like part of the game plan was to be as physical and tough with them as you could be. How do you think they responded to that?
Shaq, can you take that question first, then Jermaine?
Yeah, I think we did a good job in the first half, and I think we was in the game, and we just made a couple million errors that we need to fix. But I think we played real physical with them, and we're gonna be back here next year.
Jermaine, same question to you.
I don't think they handled our physicality very well throughout the game. Mental lapses that happened on the offensive end is why we lost the game. It wasn't nothing that they did.
Looking for continued questions for the student athletes from Cincinnati. There's one down in the front.
Blaine Johnson from Dallas, Texas. I'm curious, everybody seems to be running man-to-man versus running a zone. What do y'all feel that works better than running like a 1-3-1 or a 2-3 or something like that? It just confuses me. I was a former coach, so yeah. I'm just curious, running man-to-man, does that prove to be more difficult or no?
Shaq, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, the game plan was just keep him out the paint pretty much, and it's like a matchup zone we play, so just pretty much just try to keep him out the paint, and honestly, you don't let them get no lobs and stuff like that.
Continued questions for the student athletes from Cincinnati. We have 2 on the left, 1 toward the front, then we'll move to the middle.
Paul Doherty, Cincinnati Enquirer, for both of you guys. What was it like, especially in the second half, just trying to get off a shot against that defense?
Shaq first, then Jermaine, please.
It was pretty tough. They got a lot of 7-footers, a lot of shot blockers, but I think if we just execute a little bit more and be smart on offense end, we're going to be ready for next year. We got a lot of young guys, so I think we're going to be good.
Jermaine, same question.
I don't think it was tough at all. We got point-blank shots that we just missed. It wasn't really anything that they did defensively that made it tough for us to score. We got shots that we wanted, and they just didn't go down, and sometimes it happens like that.
Another question on the left side toward the center of the room.
Brian Fox, Bearcat Sports Radio. This question is for Jermaine. as a senior, what does it feel like to go out at such a big stage in such a big game?
It hurts that we lost the game, but I'm glad that we gave our best effort. We ain't never let down, and we kept our guard up the whole game. And I'm proud of the guys and the way they played. And I know next year, with the group of guys that we got, they're going to make a good run in the tournament next year. So.
Next question's on the back left for Nancy.
Nancy Armour, USA Today Sports. For both Jermaine and Shaq, do you think Kentucky can go unbeaten, or do you think future opponents should look at what you guys did today and take some lessons from it?
Shaq first, please, then Jermaine.
No, I definitely think they're beatable. It's just you have to execute. You have to execute for 40 minutes, and you can't let them for 40 minutes because as soon as the crowd get into it, they honestly feed off that. So I think they're not unbeatable, but we're going to see it coming up. So.
Jermaine, same question.
I think they're a very beatable team. You just can't give them anything easy. They feed off of transition buckets and easy like layups and things like that. So you just can't give them anything easy and make it tough for the big guys to score around the rim.
On the right side toward the front, Tim.
Tim Warsinski from the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Did you gentlemen sense that Kentucky was rattled, and that, did you guys feed off of that if you did? And do you think Kentucky may have taken you lightly?
Shaq first, please, then Jermaine.
Yeah, I think through the first half there was a little rattle, and they honestly went on a little run, a 7-0 run, and I think that kind of changed the game right there. So I think there was definitely a little rattle.
Jermaine, same question.
I think that we rattled them with our physicality. I don't think they was ready for it. Usually they go against teams that back down, and I think that we was ready for the fight from beginning to the end, and that kind of got them a little rattled. But I think they held their composure well and overcame it.
We have time for one more question for the student athletes from Cincinnati, if there is one. Just raise your hand. We'd like to thank Shaq and Jermaine for joining us here in the main interview room. They're going to head back to the locker room, rejoin their teammates. The Cincinnati locker room remains open at this time. We'll now take questions for Cincinnati Associate Head Coach Larry Davis. If you have a question, please raise your hand. The microphone attendant will make his way in your direction. First question for Coach Davis. We have one on the right.
Hey, Coach, do you expect to be a head coach somewhere next year?
We'll see what happens. If I get a heck of an opportunity, and it'll have to be a really good opportunity in order for me to leave, I will consider it. But I can tell you, I'll be just as happy if I come back and be the associate head coach to Mick Cronin next year. So I got the best of both worlds. If something comes along, great. I'll look at it. If not, I'm happy as could be to be at Cincinnati and be alongside Mick.
Continuing with questions for Associate Head Coach Larry Davis. If you have a question for Coach Davis, please raise your hand. There's one on the left side toward the center.
Coach Davis, in the first half, it seemed like we played about 17 minutes of great basketball, and then we let up a little bit. Was the Cauley-Stein dunk, do you think, kind of a big momentum swing in the game?
I think our turnovers, we had a couple turnovers in a row. That was the big momentum swing in the game. I mean, and, they had a few dunks, not what they normally have, but I think the turnovers deflated us more than the dunk did. We knew that they're big. They're going to get a dunk or two. We got a dunk or two, but I don't think that the dunk deflated us as much as the two turnovers that we had during that stretch, and that cost us. It cost us because we were right there, and we could have kept a little more pressure on them going into halftime.
If you have a question for Coach Davis, please raise your hand. Any further questions for Coach Davis? There's one on the left side of the aisle.
Kevin Urbanbeck, Kentucky Colonel. Coach, I'm sorry if you've been asked before, but did you talk to your team about the physicality coming into this game and how you guys need to be that over-physical team?
The Bearcats are always physical. That's how we play. We don't play dirty, but we use our bodies and we play very, very physical. I've been telling them they got to play physical from the minute we took over, and Mick has been telling them we got to play physical from the day that we got this group together. in the first practice because that's how we play. And, you know, we're not going to give you an inch. And if you don't play that way, you got no chance to win. If you run up against somebody who's going to play physical and you're not ready to meet that every time out, then you're not going to win. Obviously, their size is a problem, so we knew that, you know, we had to get bodies on bodies and try to block them out, and we out-rebounded them. We out-rebounded them, held them 37%. The difference in the game, fellas, is they shot 28 free throws, and we shot 14. That was the difference in the game. We out-rebounded them, we held them 37%, and they shot 28 free throws, and we shot 20. We shot 4 or 5 of those late in the game, too. So physically, we matched them, we hung with them, but again, difference in the game was the free throw line.
If you have a question for Coach Davis, please raise your hand. Any further questions for Coach Davis? We'd like to thank Coach Davis for joining us here in the main interview room. The Cincinnati locker room remains open.